Hello and welcome to the first ever edition of 10 Minutes with Ricky J. Now, if you're listening to this on the Enzo podcast feed, you're confused. If you're seeing this on YouTube, you're saying your picture's blurry. There's no video editing that's going around with this. You've got nothing in your background. You're podcasting from a bed. Well, that's what I do. I kind of podcast from a bed, but this is something I've been wanting to do a little bit more this off season, and that is some solo podcasting and some quicker stuff, um, where I just try to not ramble a lot, get out some consistent, concise thoughts in about 10 minutes, and then get out of here. And it's just me because I know I won't be able to have people around for my entire life, and I really enjoy the act of podcasting. But I'm terrible at doing it alone, and I'm really trying to practice that. So I actually have a rundown today. We just kind of went over what this is. It's practice for me to get better at podcasting and to get some video content that's short and digestible and that will upload at a reasonable speed to YouTube to kind of direct people more to the podcast and get some good shareable stuff out. So, why the title? Why Ricky J? Well, my name is Eric Jensen. I'm the host of the End Zone podcast, but uh, my fantasy football league, which I'm very tight with, they're kind of my college buddies. Um, I have come to be known by the nickname Rick in that one. Take off the E out of K. I guess it makes sense. My good friend Donnie will tell you it makes no sense, but I like it, and it was given to me. And I think all nicknames have to be given to a person, or else the nickname is, in fact, super lame. So that's why it's 10 minutes with Ricky J. Take a quick peek around the sports world and some other things. We'll talk about that in a second. How often are these going to come out? Well, in my wildest dreams, I would like to do this at least every weekday. Now, is that realistic with the job that kind of stresses me out sometimes? Which, by the way, some of these topics, they're not going to be about sports. It could be a few minutes just based on, what's going on in everyday life. And for me, it's, man, I'm a really anxious person. And, yeah, I'm dealing with some stuff at work right now that is not so fun sometimes, but things are going really well, and I'm kind of in my own head about it. And so that's a question I've been pondering is as I get older, will this get easier? Again, a tangent. We'll get back on track. How often does this happen? I would say to start, it'll probably be once a week. Then we'll kind of ramp it up a little bit. Eventually, peak, I would really like to get three of these out a week and just recorded and up and out on YouTube and podcasting. And I think that'd be good. So kind of a breakdown of this show. I have an Apple Watch. I've set my timer on my Apple Watch. I keep looking down at the timer to make sure that we stay on track here. The first segment is usually going to be about sports. We'll go over some of the current sports headlines of the day. We'll cover any and everything. I don't know if you've picked up on this from the conversations I've had, but my only hobby is watching sports. And sometimes I take a break, but other times I don't. And, you know, I love blogging, but I need also a way to get out short content that I can put up on the blog and write some blurbs about as well. And this gives me a good opportunity to do that. So there's going to be 5 minutes of sports content, and we'll talk about maybe I'll give some picks, maybe I'll look at the slate of games, I'll throw out a few things, and you'll kind of get the feel for that here when we get to our second half in about a minute. But then the other half is just going to be me chatting and, talking about what's on my mind and getting into various things. I don't think we'll hit a lot of hot button issues. I don't want my thoughts on the current political climate of the United States out there for sure, because man, that's just a mess right now. I'm there funner things to talk about, but we'll talk about things like food and poetry and work and other things that are just on my mind. And I think if I limit myself to 5 minutes and give myself a good kind of structure for everything, it's going to work out great. I'm going to start my timer at 12 minutes every show. Then I'm going to start recording. I'm going to go by about the timer, and hopefully these will be pretty quick and pretty easy. I'm really excited to start doing these. And don't worry, you're not going to lose anything else. We'll keep on doing the other shows involved with this podcast feed as well. Okay, let's get to 5 minutes on sports. Sports topics for today: the NHL season in full bloom. Check out our new NHL show on the goal line. Very cool. Night slate tonight, three games that I think are of interest. You've got Bruins Leafs. That one's interesting to me because the Bruins have kind of been a disaster this year. They get on these runs where they win a few in a row, but throughout the year, I would say their year has been defined by bad, sloppy losses to teams they typically beat. And that includes the Toronto Maple Leafs. I think you want to watch the Leafs here. You want to see if they can come up with the win in Toronto against the Bruins. This is a very interesting game to me. I'm interested to see how Austin Matthews responds to kind of a sluggish Four Nations face-off. This is kind of the 3 game mark for all these teams now after the break where people are kind of starting to get their legs under them. Do I think we're going to see the best hockey in the world tonight? No, but we're getting there, and I think we're going to be at that next level where the sport fundamentally changes in about a week. And this is a good night to start paying attention. Stars, Blue Jackets in a tooth and nail race for the playoffs in the Eastern Conference. Zach Werenski has been playing out of his mind. Adam Fantilli has had a really good first kind of full year in the NHL. They've just got depth scoring, and that works. While we think about the goaltending, it's a little shaky. The Stars, meanwhile, are no doubt true blue Western Conference Stanley Cup Finals contender. They're one of the 5 to 6 teams that can win the Stanley Cup. And man, oh man, I think that this game is going to be fun to watch. I mean, you've got the Oilers and the Lightning. Has that, rust knocked off of from the most intense games of his career knocked off for Connor McDavid? They're playing the Lightning. John Cooper, the coach that coached him. It's a very interesting matchup. I think the Lightning are a really good team. Nikita Kucherov opened up the second half on a tear, not playing in this Four Nations face-off. Man, it helps these Russians, including Ovi, who's on that goal chase now. Um, Oilers, Lightning, I think that's one to watch. MLS is back. Um, I'm a RSL season ticket holder. Not too thrilled about the current state of the club. They're kind of a mess. They need attacking help, and they need it badly, like yesterday. Do I think they'll make those moves? Probably not. They'll probably wait for the summer and be a middling team for most of the year. I'm not super excited about my season ticket purchase this year. I wish they would not have sold their best goal scorers last year. So it'll be interesting to take a look at. Did want to throw out some fun MLS teams to watch. It's on Apple TV. I know you got to buy a whole nother thing for it. I get it. But if you have it, for some reason, through T-Mobile, through whatever, here are 4 fun teams to watch. LAFC, high flying, fast, connected, over the top soccer. They score goals. That's kind of the theme for all these teams. That's a team to definitely check out. San Diego, this new team, man, they look pretty fun to watch. They got a big win over the Galaxy over the weekend. Chucky Lozano is their designated player and a, a very talented soccer player. But the guy I'm really looking at is the man who scored 2 goals, and that's Anders Dreyer, and he is fun to watch as a 10. So keep an eye on them. FC Cincinnati, they made some MLS moves, keeping MLS players in the MLS side, if that makes sense. You know, Kevin Denke with the goal. They gave them the win over Red Bulls over the weekend. But like this is a very exciting and interesting um FC Cincinnati team, but still has a little bit of a pop to it. And I really enjoy that. And then of course you have Miami, you have Messi. Those games are always fun to watch, but that's kind of a cop-out answer. I know. All right, 50 seconds left here. Two college basketball games to track tonight. Florida, Georgia. If Georgia could somehow get a win at home over Florida, that would go a long way toward pushing them to the right side of the bubble. They have some good wins this year, but a win against no doubt number four Florida, a national title contender at home for Georgia would really push them over the top. And then I'm interested to see how Christian's Mississippi State team does against Alabama. Kind of a styles make fights game. Mississippi State likes to grind, slow the game down, while Alabama's got a fast pace, high flying, ball movement, shoot a lot of threes, get to the paint with ease offense. And I think that'll be a very, very interesting one to watch. You're about to hear my Apple Watch go off, and it's buzzing me. And that's it. That means this is the first finish to 10 minutes with Ricky J. Thanks very much for listening and watching. You can follow me on Blue Sky, Eric18 Utah. I'll throw this up there. This is something new. I'm sure it's not going to blow up as none of my podcasting endeavors have because I just don't like to push them that hard. But this will be a fun thing and a nice little audio journal talking some stuff that we don't typically get out. Tomorrow, YB and Mason will be on. We'll start the NFL off season. We'll talk about some intriguing characters, what we're hearing out of the NFL Combine. Should be fun. Until then, thanks so much for listening and watching. Peace out.